Good afternoon. Welcome to Bloomerang Academy, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're talking about major gifts prospects and moves management. Our presenter today is Di Cox. She was a senior conversions project manager at Bloomerang, but she is now our database consultant. So we're very lucky to have her here. She has tons of experience in the nonprofit industry. Some people mistake us for each other, which is a great compliment to me. So thank you so much for being here, Di.
Thanks, Diana, and it's a compliment to me as well. So yes, we are together, Diana squared, and we're awesome. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm going to take over presenting, so give me just a second. All right, can everyone see that?
I can see your screen.
Beautiful. And on mine, it is updated to say database consultant. So there's that update. Diana had the before, I have the after. All right, so our agenda for today. So we are, as you can see, we're going to talk about major gifts, just kind of in general, why they're important, what are they, that sort of thing. We are also going to talk about donor cultivation, which obviously is very important, major gifts prospect tracking in Bloomerang, as well as moves management tracking in Bloomerang. So I'll actually jump into the database and go through some of that with you. And then we're also going to talk about donor stewardship and retention. And then I'll have that resources page that Diana was talking about. And depending on time, we can do Q&A. So I'll take as much of that as you guys have time allotted. So to start out, let's talk about major gifts. At its core, a major gift is the largest one-time gift or pledge an organization receives. This number varies wildly and is specific to each organization. So your major gift amount might be $1,000 and somebody else's might be $1 million. That's completely okay. You can start where you're at and build from there. Your major gifts number should also be a moving target. So as your donor retention improves annually and as you start bringing in major gifts to your organization, this number will change. Obviously, we're hoping to trend that up, but year over year, you'll need to reevaluate those numbers. As a note, there is a slight difference between a major gift and a transformational gift. A transformational gift is a gift that goes really above and beyond. So we're talking several times the size of a normal major gift. And they are the kind of gift that can truly support your mission in a really sustainable way. So major gifts should be an important part of your long-term development plan, and they'll allow you to plan more than 1 year ahead for expenses and for any hardship that comes up. You can use your major gifts to do things like establish an endowment fund or a rainy day fund to get you through things like pandemics, recessions, or just really rough fundraising years. Transformational gifts can take an organization from sustaining to enabling much more quickly and give you the flexibility that most nonprofits only dream of. Don't have expectations for year over year transformational gifts. Most organizations can hope for about one a decade. So like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just kind of keep that in mind. Major gifts should be your focus. Transformational gifts should be that really amazing moment that you have. Another important marker that major gifts measure is constituent buy-in to the organization and the mission. Really, anyone who's willing to part with large sums of money has to truly believe that their money can be used as a force of good in the world, and your staff and your organization are the vehicle for that good. So ensuring you're properly cultivating your pool of potential major donors is what will generate that excitement and that viability and that sustainability. And then I do have on here, we'll talk about this at the end, donor retention here. But I think some people can be a little apprehensive about starting major gift program because they are concerned about that impact to their donor retention rates. Oftentimes it can initially have a bit of a negative impact since you're taking your major donor prospects out of your annual fund efforts, such as appeal lists, that sort of thing. But the really big impact a major or transformational gift can have on an organization is worth more than the individual response to an appeal letter. So don't stress about that, just be aware of it. So for the purposes of prospects and moves management, I did want to bring up the definition of cultivation versus stewardship. I don't recommend using these words interchangeably, even though in many arenas in the nonprofit world, they can be. As far as prospect and moves management goes, cultivation is relationship building, whereas stewardship is relationship management. A good analogy to think of is cultivation is like dating someone, and then stewardship is continuing to date them after you're married. So both are important, but stewardship is post commitment. So while we're not going to be going into the nitty-gritties of creating a prospect list, I have added a few notes here. So your prospect list has to be a manageable size for your solicitors to handle, since cultivation can take time and needs attention for each donor. So if you are just starting out, I would recommend just a handful for each of your solicitors, and then adjust from there based on their role in your organization, their role outside of your organization, how long their prospect cycle seems to be lasting, that sort of thing. So a major gifts officer should have a larger portfolio to manage than a brand new board member or a development officer with other responsibilities at the organization. But regardless of who's managing that prospect and how many prospects they have, every one of your prospects should have a personal cultivation plan in place so that everyone on the team knows what the plan is to move them through becoming a major donor or a transformational donor. So we will have this template up in the template section on our website, and it'll be linked in the resources tab at the end. But we're going to be using this when I do my process review inside Bloomerang. And we do recommend, if you're using Bloomerang software, just copy and paste it directly into the moves management note we'll create for your prospect. And then you can fill in those to be determined steps and dates as you go. So we'll get to that in just a second. And then down here, I do have this Bloomerang user tip. I think if you're really just kind of starting out and trying to get kind of an overview of your database and who you have in there and who might be good to start targeting as prospective major donors, you can use the engagement level and the generosity score. So you'll take that engagement level, the on fire, hot, or warm, so those higher engagement levels, plus your higher levels of generosity. And you can run reports on that, and it'll give you that grouping of people. So again, that might be a really great place to start to review your relationship with those individuals and who might be good solicitors for them. My database, my sample database, doesn't have generosity score in it. So I've pulled this up for you guys so you can see what they look like. You'll see the engagement level and then the generosity score. And when you click on view generosity details, it'll pull up this sub box for you with some additional information. And it will tell you what the annual fund likelihood is and a major gift likelihood is. So the donor search team can help kind of figure some of that out if you have deeper questions about that. We also do have help articles on it. We run batch screens, all of that. Again, that's on the resources page. But I wanted to draw your attention to that. It's a really nice starting point often. All right, so we've kind of gone through that. So I'm going to pull up Bloomerang and I'm going to kind of show you how we will walk through all of this, how we'll get that template into the note, some custom fields review, a couple of different ways to generate that. So give me just a second to pull up Bloomerang.
While Di is pulling that up, we also wanted to ask everyone, what's your experience and comfort level with identifying major gifts prospects? So let us know if you have extensive knowledge and experience with prospect identification, or if you have a broad understanding and some experience with prospect identification. If you are slightly familiar with and have some limited experience with prospect identification, or if you're just starting to learn about prospect identification. I'll leave that poll up for about 30 seconds.
All right. So, couple notes on my sample database here. So, first of all, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So, everything is Star Wars. And a question that I get asked every single time I do a presentation is, what is a call sign? You're going to see that as one of my custom fields. A call sign is what airplane pilots call each other up in the air. So, it's kind of like your pilot nickname. And I do have that in here. So most of you won't need call signs unless you're specifically working with pilots. And then if that's helpful information, feel free to gather it. So again, I just kind of wanted to mention that. So this is my database. We have set up our fields already for major gift prospects and move management. I will also note that I have given kind of an array of places to put information. Adapt this to what is best for your organization. Your organization might use all of this or just a subset of it. There are a couple different ways to track it. There's no wrong answer as long as you're consistent. So just make sure that consistency is the key, and then you can adapt this as you go. So the first thing that we set up was an appeal that is called Major Gift Ask. So I have that appeal set up in my database. The way that my organization tracks our prospective gifts is through a pledge. So I will show you that. You also can track it through a note. So there, again, no right or wrong. If you're going to track it on notes, there's no need for the appeal. But here's my appeal for my major gift asks. And then I have used a series of custom fields. We'll start with constituent. So for my constituent custom fields, I have solicitor, target ask date, target ask, so that's the amount that we're asking for, an impact area. I believe that it is very important to find out what is meaningful to your donors. Again, that's what's going to generate that excitement, that buy-in, that resonance with your mission. And so maybe they're willing to give an unrestricted gift, but maybe there is something that you do, a program or an event that you host and run that is very, very meaningful to your donor, and they will want to make a major gift to support that really important impact area that you have. So make sure that you are having those conversations with your donor and you know where that gift is going. And then also we put giving capacity on here. So this is what will live on the constituent profile. Again, you can pick and choose. If you don't want the target ask information or their giving capacity sitting there on their profile tab, keep it in a note. If it doesn't matter to you or you want it in both places, do both. You're going to see a lot of these again. So next is transaction. My prospect management fields here are opportunity, and the options here are closed, open, or won. So open means we're moving them through that pipeline right now. Closed is we didn't win it, so they decided not to give a gift. It's now just done. And then a won opportunity means that they gave for me in full or a partial. You can also create one that's partially won if you want to see people who gave less than what you asked for, but they still gave a major gift. So again, if you're going to be tracking them through pledges, make sure that you have these fields on here so that you can run reports and figure out which ones are open, what the status is for everything. Again, solicitor is on here. And then this gift as a bequest is on here. Legacy giving is also a type of major giving. We're not really going to go into that today. But I have that on there again so that you can remove it from reports, that sort of thing, if you're choosing to track that through a pledge. Once you get a signed, I will say this, once you get a signed agreement for a bequest, moving it to a pledge is probably a good idea. And then again, marking it so that you know why you have a gift so far out. Solicitor isn't necessary here. In a report, you can pull out constituent custom fields. So if you have solicitor as a constituent custom field, you don't need it here. But if you want it in both places, you can add it. And then on interactions, all I have is current stage. Again, you might find this helpful, you might not. But these stages are going to match what's listed on the note, so that you know actions were taken during discovery, cultivation, when you actually have that solicitation, you're asked for that gift, and stewardship. So those are all listed here. And then your notes custom fields are going to be current stage. So it's the same as on the interaction, except I have permission to ask added here. Again, kind of up to you. I recommend a permission to ask stage. It's a simple action. Basically, what you do is you tell your prospect, hey, the next time we meet, let's talk money, or I'm going to be asking for a gift, or talking to you about potential giving. Phrase it like that. Some people find that helpful if they have a spouse they need to check with, or a financial planner. They can go and kind of get some of that information on what they can do before having that meeting with you. And so hopefully at that meeting, they just say yes, which is what you're hoping for, versus saying, well, I have to go crunch some numbers and check. So it gives them the opportunity to do that beforehand. If you don't want to do that, or you don't think that's helpful, just don't do that. So again, adapt this information to your organization and what works best for you. And then let me go back here. We also have the target ask date, target ask amount, and solicitor. Same note with the solicitor. We can pull constituent information into the notes report, so you don't have to put solicitor here. It's just another option of where to put it. You can also manage your solicitors through relationships. So if you don't want to put it on any of these notes, you can set up a relationship schema. The one that I have here is major gift prospect and solicitor. So you can track it that way as well. Again, kind of figure out what makes the most sense for your organization as far as all of this goes, and then be consistent, and you're gonna do great. So I have in my pretend organization here, one of my solicitors. Her name is Sabine, and she has a friend named Ahsoka Tano, and she thinks Ahsoka would be a great major gifts prospect. So I'm going to go to Ahsoka's record. We've already set that up. And I'm going to start filling out some of this information for her so that we can start working her into that pipeline. So on my profile tab, I'm going to go down to the prospect management area, and I'm going to fill this out. So her solicitor is going to be Sabine. We're going to say that the target ask date is a year from now. So we're going to say it's going to be 11/12/2021. The giving capacity, we've decided that this is $1 million. But we're only going to ask for a major gift of $50,000. And the impact area, she really cares about reaching out to the outer rim planets. That's my impact area for my my nonprofit. So I'm going to say outer rim outreach. And I'm going to save that. As you can see, most of those were type it in fields here. You can change that to say this needs to be a currency field, this needs to be a date field, this needs to be one of the drop downs. So again, adjust as you need to. I've kept it as type it in so that I have a better idea of what's going on with that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that note that we talked about. So I'm going to come here and say new note. And in the note box, I'm going to take that cultivation plan template, and I'm going to drop it in. So let me do that. So it's an open opportunity. And then it's the personal cultivation plan. My discovery is already broken out here, so I need to determine capacity. We've done that. So we're going to say this was completed yesterday. Sabine went through, she's just giving it to me today, but yesterday is when she did it. And then first solicitor contact, that'll be upcoming. And then impact area has already been established as well, which is helpful. So we'll say 11/11/2020. And then we're going to take a look at the moves management fields here. That first solicitor contact still has to happen in kind of an official capacity of she's now her solicitor. So right now we're in the discovery phase. I'm going to fill this back out. So our target ask date is going to be 11/12/2021. Target ask amount is $50,000. And the solicitor here is Sabine. And I'm going to save that. And you can see, oh, sorry, one other thing I need to update here. So I'm going to update this date to be that target ask date. So 2021, that way it's always pinned at the top and I can just come in and update that as I go. It's never going to get buried under interactions, under tasks, under any other notes or gifts that she gives in the interim. So let me update that. So now you don't see it on the timeline, but you see this bar that says hiding entries from future years, show these entries. When we click on this, it shows that it's going to be November 12th of 2021. So that is now pinned to the top of my timeline. And then I'm also going to set up a pledge. So I'm going to come in and say new pledge. We're going to change this date again to 2021 because that's when we're going to be making that ask. And the amount's going to be $50,000. The fund, we're going to say it's going to be the Outer Rim Planets Outreach because we've identified that impact area. I am not going to put a campaign on here because putting this year's annual campaign doesn't make a lot of sense since the gift won't be coming in hopefully until next year. And putting one for next year doesn't make a lot of sense because if we make the ask on November 12th of next year and she says yes and she makes her payment on January 3rd of 2022, we're still outside of that campaign timeline. So I'm going to leave my campaign blank, and then my appeal is going to be my major gift ask. There's no auto payment. None of that needs to be filled out up there. We can leave that all blank. This opportunity is open. Solicitor again is going to be Sabine. And this gift is not a bequest, so I'm just going to leave it blank. My only option is yes. So leaving that blank. Next, I'm going to create my pledge schedule. First installment payment, this you can update this, by the way. So right now we're just going to say the date of the ask. So 11/12/2021. Frequency, we're going to say custom. First installment's going to be 50,000. And the number of installments is 1. Again, you can update this later. So if they decide to do $10,000 a month, over 5 months, you can update that. If they are going to say, hey, we'll do it in 2 chunks over 2 years, you can update that. But for right now, this is fine. We're just generating it. So now I'm going to save this. And on the timeline, it is now up here in this future dated section as well. So you have everything there. And then from there, you're going to basically use a system of interactions and tasks, whatever works for your organization, to walk through these different steps. So I would come in here and I would say, okay, we need to do this first solicitor contact next. So I'm going to create a task for that. So I'm going to come in here and say new task. We are going to pretend that Sabine has this listed here, so we're going to assign it to Sabine. The subject is going to be initial solicitor contact. We're going to put the due date as the 15th. That sounds like a good day. The purpose here is going to be impact cultivation, and the channel is going to be phone. We want her to give her a call. And so we will save that. Depending on how your tasks are set up, Sabine can receive an email telling her she has that task. You can also run task reports so that she can see the list of tasks that she has open. But now we know that this initial solicitor contact needs to happen. This is an open task. I can spell words, and we're good to go. Once Sabine does this, she can come in and she can complete this task. She can put notes in about that contact, and we can save it as an interaction so that we know what's going on with it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as an interaction. It was completed, we'll say today. She's really on the ball. And now we have this interaction. So she can click in here. And again, if you want to, we can update that moves management field to say discovery. So that is going to be that workflow. As you move through this this cultivation plan, you are going to update the dates that these things happen. You're going to make sure that there is a task, or if you're not using tasks, a plan for that next step, and make sure that the person who needs to do that next step is aware of it. So again, tasks are really great if you're using Bloomerang. Figure out a process that works for you if you're outside of Bloomerang, and then you guys can make sure that everything is getting completed. So our discovery phase is now complete, which is great. So we would update this to cultivation. We've officially entered that cultivation stage. We're going to save that. And then as Sabine maps out what she's going to do as far as cultivation goes and when, she can start adding those in. So maybe it's a site visit. Maybe it's a Zoom call. Maybe it is grabbing coffee together. So you can start working that out. You can put in whatever those cultivation steps are that are important to your organization. Some organizations have a process of every single person, you have to do X, Y, and Z during cultivation. Some organizations let it grow a little bit more organically based on the relationship and all of that. So again, just make sure you're consistent with what you're doing, and make sure that your solicitors are aware of what's required of them. So I will show you one that is closed so that you can kind of see what that looks like going through. So we have Boba Fett. Boba Fett gave us a major gift a while ago, and as you can see from up here, is already back in the major gifts pipeline, which is really exciting. But if we scroll down, we can see this note that says closed opportunity. So if we click into this, we can see what that personal cultivation plan is when it was completed. We can see what's going on, who the solicitor is. All of that information is just right here for you. So we can see that basically all of this started in October of 2019. As we scroll down, we can see all of those cultivation steps that were taken. Plus, there was a kind of a sub-step that was taken. Boba decided to meet with a board member to kind of get a feel for what the expectations are. He's interested in some leadership opportunities with the organization. We set up that meeting for permission to ask. We met with the solicitor. We secured the gift. And then we started stewardship. So we went through gift impact, continuing to meet with the solicitor. There's some capital campaign stuff coming up, leadership opportunity. So those steps haven't been completed yet, but the opportunity is closed at this point. So if you, again, consistency, if you want to just say closed opportunity in your notes for everything that's not open, you can. Some people will also want to say, instead of closed opportunity, one opportunity, so that you can see that you went through those steps and you actually secured that major gift. So whichever works for your organization is perfectly fine. So when we look back, we can see all of the different steps that were taken. We can see that there was a task that was completed but never changed to an interaction, which is fine. But let's go ahead and click in here. So volunteering. So we can see some notes were taken. It was in person. The stage was cultivation. So again, it's just right there at your fingertips if you want to click in and look at anything. And then again, you can report on all of this, which is great as well. So I'm not going to go too deep into reports, but you can run transaction reports if you want to see all of those pledges that are open and do some forecasting. You can run notes reports to see all of those details within the notes, and you can run interaction reports to see what steps have been taken already. So we can come in and do a new one. We're going to build it from scratch. Let's do a notes report. So adding nothing is going to show me all of the notes, but I want specifically notes that are in cultivation. So let's do current stage is cultivation. So we have one right now. So I'm going to add a column for solicitor. And so I can see who that is and that it's open. So that is a really easy way to break it down by what's open, what's closed, what's won, what's been lost, all of that. And so you can see in this note where we are in it based on that. And then you can always right click, open a link in a new tab, and it'll take you right to this note. So that is, again, a pretty basic overview of your process. And then there's pretty robust reporting available on all of this as well. So some of our resources, I'll give a couple more examples in there with some written out instructions on how to build out some additional reports. But for now, let's click back over and let's talk about stewardship, because I think that's a really important part of major gifts. So let me click back over to my slides. Okay. All right. So at this point, we've talked about some basic ways to create that prospect list. We've talked about that cultivation plan. We've looked at the workflow. We know there's reporting available. We can kind of see how all of that's built out. And now kind of the major last piece we have to talk about is donor stewardship, and then I will go back to donor retention as promised. So it is absolutely imperative that you steward your prospects, whether you secured the gift or not. So we'll start with how to steward them if you've secured the gift, and then we'll take a look at the now what's for we haven't. So the most important thing to do is to acknowledge your gift. I recommend working with your donor on how they would like to be recognized, and then scale appropriately. If it's a transformational gift, a press release may be the most appropriate way to acknowledge this gift. For large major gifts, publishing a thank you on your website, social media, an annual report. If you have a newsletter, publishing in that, that might be that really perfect way to share the news and to make sure that your donor feels appreciated. However, make sure that's what your donor wants. Some donors would prefer to keep your donations anonymous, or they really just don't want a lot of attention. So a public announcement may not be the best way to go. Make sure, however, that at least one other member of your organization besides your solicitor reaches out to them personally. So either a call or a handwritten thank you letter. That really does go a long way to make sure that they feel, again, acknowledged and appreciated internally, regardless of whether or not you're doing a public acknowledgement. And then next, you're going to make sure that you are keeping them informed on the ongoing impact that their gift is having. Depending on what the gift is, how you do that might look a little bit different. And it also might look a little bit different depending on what's going on in the world. So if your donor gave a donation to turn a piece of land into a park or a playground, you can send them before, during, after pictures of, the putting them up, all of that stuff. It might be appropriate for them to come on site and take a look at that, again, depending. But make sure that you are sending them personal emails. Your solicitor should be inviting them or updating them personally as their gift is utilized and that impact is being kind of generated. If they gave a gift to bring in new equipment to your organization, again, some pictures might be nice, a site visit might be nice, just a phone call to let them know that it's going great and you're really excited might be great. If the gift was unrestricted, however, that I know that can be a little bit trickier. So maybe get some more staff members involved, or again, if it's appropriate, a thank you from a member of the population that you serve could be really helpful. So a phone call from someone that you serve, or a staff member who's running a program that it's supporting, letting them know, hey, your gift really is making a difference. I'm no longer concerned about securing funding for this program. So thank you so much. That can go a really long way too. And then one of my favorite things about constituents who truly feel connected and who continue to feel connected is that they become what I like to call secret solicitors. So you have not asked them to solicit on your behalf, but they're doing it anyway. So they are proud and excited, and they just very naturally want to get other people involved. So they can become great candidates for leadership opportunities, such as board or special committees, program volunteers, that sort of thing. And chances are they're going to bring more friends and family into the fold. And then they can start making an introduction. So, it can help to generate additional annual fund giving, but also, possible prospects for your major gifts program. Their level of excitement can also be a great indicator of when it's appropriate, or if it's appropriate, to start cultivating them for the next major gift. So if they start asking questions like, well, this is great, but what would it take to do this other thing? That probably means that they're open to another large donation, or willing to, become a solicitor or an ambassador in a less secret capacity to secure the funding for whatever that other thing is. If you don't secure the gift, it is also really important to assess what went wrong and why. It might be something really simple, just it's not the right time. They just made another major gift to a different organization. With everything going on in the world, they've had to adjust their financial commitment to charitable organizations. And then they might do a couple of different things. They might say, let's table this discussion and pick it back up later. They might just say, right now, we're not interested and we don't want to have any further conversation about that. So if they say, let's table this and let's pick it up later, make sure that your solicitor maintains the relationship and continues to cultivate it. Because if you drop off the planet for a year, they're not going to give you a gift in a year. If you continue to work with them, continue to keep them excited, continue to keep them engaged, they are much more likely to give again in the future. If it's a flat no, however, I really recommend a postmortem. So go through, figure out what steps were taken, what potentially went sideways and when. Maybe they're just not a really good candidate for your organization, to be asking for gift upgrades or recurring giving or major gifts. But maybe they are a good fit for upgrading from what they've been giving, starting a recurring gift. Those are lower impact ways to still have a long-term major impact at your organization. So don't be discouraged just because it's a no right now. Doesn't mean it's a no forever. So just make sure that you are on the same page with that donor, and you can always put them back into your annual fund circulation so that they are, receiving appeal letters and hopefully still giving at least at the same level they gave previously. And then, as promised, I'll circle back around to donor retention here for a second. So as previously stated, donor retention can take a temporary hit as you pursue your major donors and your transformational donors. However, after that opportunity is closed, you can enter them back into annual efforts if that's appropriate. So depending on the size of the gift, their gift habits, all of that, you can put them back into your annual rotation 6 months to a year after they've made a major gift. However, if they pledge something like $5 million over 5 years, you need to wait until at least year 6 to start sending them appeal letters again. It is not a great idea to ask someone for $100 on top of their very large pledge payments. So make sure that you're really cognizant of who is going into your appeal lists. I also recommend maintaining your constituent custom fields appropriately. So if you are using constituent custom fields to track your prospects, then once they are no longer an open opportunity, you need to remove the target ask information. You can set up if you would like to, a custom field talking about what their status is. I would recommend leaving them an open opportunity, at least through, pledge payment being made. And if you are tracking it that way, you can always exclude in your reports anybody who is, has a target ask amount or a target ask date or one of those fields under that prospect management information to really ensure that they're not accidentally receiving a letter. All right, and then here's the resource link. So as a note, we do have an upcoming Academy class specific to tracking planned gifts. So for anyone who's interested in that, keep an eye out on the Academy page, and you can register for that. And I know Diana did it at the beginning, but I also really do want to take a minute to talk about our support team. They are truly phenomenal individuals. They're real people. They can answer any question. They're geniuses as far as I'm concerned. And they can really help bounce ideas off of them. When you're starting to implement this, they can kind of show you, if you have questions of, well, should I be tracking solicitors through relationships or a constituent field? They can kind of show you in their demo databases how that would look, how it impacts reporting, that sort of thing. So don't hesitate to reach out to them. They can help you set some of this stuff up, and they can help you navigate through and, again, kind of figure out what would work best for your organization. And then we also do offer coaching and consulting time if you need some one-on-one assistance. I know that Diana is going to be talking about the 50% off batch screens. If you don't have training or coaching or consulting time, and you would like some additional training, we can also have a member reach out to you about that. So Diana, did you have anything else, or are we ready for some Q&A?
Thank you. That was a lot of wonderful information. I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. So let us know if you'd like a member of our team to follow up regarding the 50% off batch screening in November. If you want to dig a little bit deeper into the prospect identification, Donor Search is a phenomenal tool for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or just let us know in the chat if there's anything else that you're interested. Some of you have already reached out to say that you would be interested in our consulting services as well. Let us know in the chat. I'm going to leave that up for a little bit as we go through some Q&A. Okay, we have a question here. So earlier, you mentioned that transformational gifts can take an organization from sustaining to enabling much more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you differentiate, or how do you distinguish between sustaining and enabling?
Great question. So sustaining is making sure that you can do what you're doing now, usually just doing it better. So you can keep your lights on, you can keep your programs running, people are going to get paid. So sustaining gifts, make sure that happens. Sometimes major gifts, especially, ones that are going to a general operating fund, those gifts are very much sustaining. It might be a $50,000 gift to your general operating fund. But again, you're just kind of keeping on with what you're doing, possibly enhancing it a little bit, possibly raises for some people, that sort of thing. Or hiring an extra staff person. But that's sustaining. So that's making sure that you're meeting those mission goals and your annual success plan. Those enabling gifts are what is above and beyond. So something that is enabling is we can now launch an entire new program for the population that we serve, we can staff it, we have a place to do it, we have all of the equipment we need, and we can do that in a weekend. We can get all of that put into place, start interviewing now. Another example of enabling would be if you, again, you serve your population, they have to pay partially for what you're doing, and now you can offer it completely free to your population. That's enabling. That's being able to serve more, and frankly to serve better, and making sure that you're hitting that wider target audience. So sometimes, again, on a smaller scale, you can do that with a major gift. That's why I said those numbers, it's a moving target. So maybe for your organization, $10,000 would be transformational. It is so far above and beyond. It would get all of your dreams met. That would be great. For some of you, that would take a $10 million gift. So kind of figure out what your major gift level is, and then multiply it by a couple, 3, 5, 10, depending on what kind of your dreams are, and that would become transformational.
Wonderful. We have a follow-up to that. Maybe empowering might be a nice word to use for that as well. But thank you for
I think
clarifying the
that's
difference.
lovely.
Yes, I love that word. Yes. How much time would you recommend an organization that doesn't have a dedicated major gifts officer or a staff person dedicated to that spend on the process?
Ooh, so that is a really hard question to answer, not knowing anything about your organization, how you operate, all of that sort of thing. So maybe start with, again, scale it based on you guys, but if you've never done this, maybe start with 3. So 3 people that you're going to take through it. I also would say that your board is going to be a really good resource for this. Most board members work in offices that do matching gifts. Most board members have a lot of friends that really care about the things that they care about. Same with your staff. Your staff is going to have people that really care about what's going on in their lives too. But maybe working with a board member to bring in somebody else into the fold and have your board member take the lead on that would be helpful. Maybe it's your executive director. Maybe your grants officer really has some great connections and could bring somebody in. So kind of go through and identify a couple that might be good that are in your database. Think about anybody not currently in your database that might be really good resources. And then again, you can start small. Start small with it. If it goes well, expand it out.
Wonderful. Do you also use pledges to track money that has been committed and still to come in? How does that work with using pledges for target asks?
Can you repeat the question, Diana? I'm sorry.
Would you use pledges for target asks?
So you can. Again, this is an organization to organizational choice. So yes, so if you have pledges, I've pledged you $5,000 over 5 years. I would put that in as a pledge. If you would like to use your target asks as a pledge, you can put that in. The reason that we use that appeal is so that we can take it out of reporting. So for example, if you want to see all of the money that's forecasted to come in next year, but you don't want to look at major gift asks, you'll just exclude that appeal from your report, and then it's not there. But it can be really helpful, especially if you're forecasting out what you're hoping is going to come in over the next couple of years. It just sort of depends on what your organization does. Possibly also check with your auditors. Some auditors do not want any pledges in there that have not been committed already. That's fine. Some will say just don't report them to us. So you can, again, exclude that appeal out. Your auditors don't care. It's a placeholder. So just be consistent with how you're using it so you can exclude it as needed. But if you do a lot of forecasting as an organization, it can be a really helpful tool to have it in as a pledge. If right now you're a little unsure or a little hesitant, you can still report it. It's in the notes section. So you can still report it based on that. So you can run a report for, target ask date is between all of next year, and then it will pull in all of those open opportunities for next year with the amount in them. So you can still run those reports. Again, it just sort of depends on what makes the most sense for your group.
Perfect. I think that answers a similar question here of what would be the impact of entering into Bloomerang a future hoped-for pledge on reporting pledge receivables, annual campaign results, etc. So it's very important there to be consistent in your data entry and to assign a specific appeal for it so that you can exclude it if you need to, so that it doesn't kind of muddy the waters when you're doing your projected revenue reporting or pledge receivables and annual campaign results. Perfect. I have a couple more questions here.
Sure.
We did a major capital campaign about 10 years ago, which was successful.
That's
but
great.
We don't do much special stewardship right now.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest to get the relationship back?
Oh, that's a great question. So there are a couple different strategies you can do. If you've had some change in leadership since then, you can always reach out as the new leadership, introduce yourself, say you're going through past campaigns and taking a look at it. Again, asking that impact is going to be really important. Why did you choose to give? Or what was important about giving to that capital campaign for you. So you can just kind of start, again, that's a little more organic, but start kind of building out that relationship again, just saying hi. Some people aren't going to want to engage, and that's fine. Some people are going to be really excited to hear that someone's taking the time to go through the database and figure out who's there and say, you're going to hear, oh, I hated losing touch with you guys. That was awful. So now you're back in touch, and that's great. So again, picking up the phone is the best thing that you can do. Frankly, especially during pandemic time, because, people like to hear other voices, and that really personal connection matters. So if you have a phone number, pick up the phone. If you don't have a phone number, send an email that says like, hey, I'm the new whatever position. I going through the database, would love to chat with you. Here's my number. Let's set up a time to call. Again, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're not going to hear from them. The best thing that happens is that you can start forming that relationship again.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Di. We at Bloomerang are big fans of picking up the phone and calling your donors. Again, especially during these times, we've found that people have been initiating more, I hesitate, not in person, but personal outreach to customers or to constituents and donors at this time. And people have been appreciating it, hearing from other humans.
Other humans that aren't your toddler that's running around downstairs currently.
We have a question here. What other major gift training resources or authors would you recommend to Bloomerang users? I feel like this could be a lot, and we could compile a lot here.
Yeah. So where I would start, that's a really broad question, and I would be happy to do some write-ups and add to the resource page before it's sent out. But I would start, the Bloomerang website has a resource page. We also have kind of a list of experts that we work with. I would start there. I would see what they're writing about, what they're saying. We've already partnered with them at Bloomerang. We've kind of used a lot of their models to build out our website or our CRM site, and how we're recommending doing this, all of our best practices. So I would start there. Like I say, I'm happy to update this resource page with a few external resources for you guys.
Wonderful. We're almost on time. I think we might have time for this one last question. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. They have been wonderful. It seems that you are defining major gifts as separate from the annual fund, even though some major gifts may be sustaining the core operating budget. What about leadership giving in context of a comprehensive campaign, or, for example, a multi-year effort that combines multi-year commitments to a high-end annual fund gift along with a distinct major gift targeted for specific capital campaign initiatives. Can you set up a master campaign with annual fund and campaign gifts within it, or do you set up separate campaigns and combine them in reporting?
That is a big question. So I would recommend, again, I know this is kind of not as helpful as you're probably hoping. You could do either. So on mine, I didn't set up a campaign at all. You could have a campaign set up that is at that master level, and then anytime someone gives a major gift, you can have different appeals set up for the type of major gift. So is it a capital major gift? Is it a general operating major gift? Is it a legacy gift? So you can have different appeals for that. And then you can still attach different funds. So your general operating, a building fund, kind of whatever you're working with within that. So if you have an overarching campaign that over the next 5 years, we need to raise $20 million, you can build that out, and then you guys will just need to know, okay, anytime a gift comes in from this, it has to be tagged with that campaign. You can also break it down into sub campaigns. If you have a capital campaign and that has a sub goal attached to it, and then you have your annual campaign and that has a goal attached to it, you can set those up separately. And then in your reporting, just make sure you're pulling in both campaigns, or all of the funds associated or all of the appeals associated. So you can do it either way. It's back to consistency. Just make sure that all of your data entry team knows how to enter it and what you're doing, is aware of who your board members are. So you were talking about leadership giving. If you have an appeal specific for board giving, they need to be tagging their board members as that board giving appeal. So make sure that everyone is aware of the process that you've put in place, aware of how to manage it and how to correctly enter all of that data in.
Whew, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for all of your wonderful, wonderful questions. We love getting questions from customers because we learn from it as well. Everybody else learns from it as well. So if you have additional questions, please let us know. We do have some outstanding questions that I promise we'll get back to via email. Again, I love having a lot of your questions. And we do offer consulting services. So if you're interested in that, you can always email customer.accounts@bloomerang.co to learn more about our consulting offerings and how you can set that up for your organization. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Di, for being with us this morning and for all of that wonderful information, like I mentioned. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. We are going to send out a link to the recording and the notes. We'll try to add some more resources in there for you.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot out there. And if anyone else has resources to share as well, please let us know, or you can share them in the chat now or email academy@bloomerang.co so we can send that out to everyone and share that information with everyone else. I know there's a lot of you out there who have done research on this, who have experience on this. So if you have resources to share, please, we would like to share that with everyone else as well. So thank you again. We hope you have a wonderful lunch and a wonderful Thursday. Have a great day. We'll see you again soon. Bye,
Bye everyone.